Hello and welcome to today's presentation. My name is Renita and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Prime Trust. And I will be talking about money concepts for teens and young adults. Now, this presentation is provided by our partners at GreenPath Financial Wellness. And just to give you a little foundational information about our partners at GreenPath, they have financial wellness experts who talk with people every single day about money choices they have made or about to make with their credit, debt, and money. So GreenPath, they seek to identify realistic options so that people can make the best decision and choices possible based on their situation. Every counseling session starts with determining each individual's goals and ends with an action plan to reach those goals. So we appreciate our partners at GreenPath Financial Wellness. And as you can see, they have financial assessments, housing counseling, bankruptcy counseling, and even debt management. So if you want to learn more information about them, please check out our website or even just comment below and make sure that, during this presentation, we want as much interactions as possible. So put down in the comments and just say your name, where you're from, or, even just, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put that down below and I will get to them as soon as possible. So today we will discuss the financial topics that matter to students as they journey through high school, college, and beyond. How exciting! Here's an outline of what to expect today. So firstly, I will go over your first job. What will that first paycheck look like? And then we will transition into those big decisions. That includes college, trade school, or even if your teen is going to just go full throttle and into going into the workforce and getting that full-time job. Next, I'm going to talk about paying for college. Can it get done without going broke? That's the question that everybody has. So we're going to go over that as well. And then we'll transition into your college years. Can you afford more than ramen noodles? We hear those stories all the time about people having to eat ramen noodles almost every single day, every other day. And there's a stigma about being that broke, quote unquote, broke college student. And then we will be entering into the workforce. So, going after more income, but more financial responsibility, because we know once we get those college degrees and we go into the workforce, there's greater responsibilities. And then lastly, I would like to discuss with you guys how to use your credit as an asset. So as you can see, we have some exciting topics that we will go over today. And like I mentioned before, please be interactive with this video. If you have any questions at all that doesn't get answered throughout this presentation, please do not hesitate just to comment below. So, when you are in high school, it is so exciting to think about the future. We have our goals. We think about having a full-time job, earning that real paycheck and having your own place, having your own furniture, having your own, things that just make you feel as if you're entering into that fullness of adulting. Yes, I said adulting, where you're just, going after that full-time job. You're earning a real paycheck. You have your own place. So what do you think? When it comes to those decisions, do the decisions you make now matter? And that's the thing. Do the decisions you make now matter? And, just answer this question even in the comment section. Do the decisions you make now matter? When you're younger, you usually have more wiggle room to make mistakes If you spend all your money, you probably still have the support of a family member, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, or even your grandparents, or even your siblings, whoever your supporting family member is. It's okay to make mistakes. In fact, the lessons learned could serve as inspiration for the future. So as we go into our first segment of today, it's your first job. You've hit the mall and scored the ads that had you to go into the mall, and the wants and the things that you felt like you needed. It turned into turn in multiple job applications when you went to the mall, and gone on several interviews and finally landed your first job. Congratulations. It can be pretty exciting making money, making plans to spend that money, and having some financial independence from your parents. We've all been there. Let's take a look at some of the basics, like your first paycheck. So we've all been there where we had our first paycheck, and we jumped right on in, and we wanted to spend all our money to get whatever we want, and we felt like we had some form of financial independence. So some of the things that I wanted to go over today have to do with, that first job, just like I mentioned before. Your first 2 weeks of work are over, and your boss has handed you an envelope. You open it, you might be in for a shock. In your mind, you might have calculated, if I earn X amount an hour and I work 20 hours, then my paycheck should be X multiplied by 20. But for some reason, your check is less than that. Before you go to your boss and complain, let's clear some things up. And as you can see, I will go over the gross pay and the net pay. So the amount of money you can actually cash your check for is called net pay. This is your gross pay, which is your hourly rate times hours worked, minus any deductions. A deduction is any money taken out of your paycheck to pay for employment benefits and taxes. So as you can see, taxes, that may be subtracted from your gross pay, but it may include federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security and Medicare, or additional taxes like your city taxes as well. Some common employment benefits include health insurance, disability insurance, and even retirement, which is your 401k. In order to know how much of your paycheck you should deposit versus spending, it helps to have some financial goals. Goals can be broken up into short-term or long-term. Short-term goals typically are goals you want to achieve within 3 to 12 months, like having money for a concert at the end of the summer, or for that new tablet that you wanted. Long-term goals are include something that may take you more than a year to accomplish, like saving for a new car, college, or even retirement. A savings account will make it easier to reach your goals. If you don't have a savings account yet, consider opening one with us. Many banks or credit unions offer special accounts just for teens. And if you don't know, here at Prime Trust, we actually have what's called a checking account that's catered for teenagers, and it's called Start Right Checking. And if you want more information about that, make sure to comment or send us a private message here on Facebook, and we can send that information to you. So next, we're going to talk about SMART goals. If we were to just break this down. So in order to accomplish your goals, you will need to make sure they are smart. So if we broke this down, the S of SMART can represent specific, M, measurable, A, attainable, R, realistic, and T, timely. So I know you're probably thinking, okay, she said being specific, but what does that include? This is the what, where, when, and how. The more specific you can be, the better. When it comes to being measurable, this includes determining how you can measure your progress. Attainable. Good goals should be challenging but not impossible. Sometimes we can create goals and then the goal is so big and we're not being, we're not being realistic with those goals, and it can be discouraging, or we're like, okay, is this, when am I going to accomplish this? Which, goes into the realistic. So the R, like I mentioned before, is realistic or relevant. Your goal should be something that matters to you. The T, timely, in this analogy, it means to set a time frame to accomplish your goal to help keep you focused. An example is, I will set aside $20 from each paycheck starting on September 15th, so that I have $100 by October 1st to buy concert tickets when they go on sale. So that's something that you can, just an example of how to utilize having SMART goals. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, now we just went over SMART goals, but what's next? Creating a budget. Money in versus money out. If you're going to try to set aside a certain amount per paycheck, consider creating a budget. A budget is essentially money in versus money out. Some typical expenses include, money for goals, your savings, gas money, food money, cell phone, because we know every teenager, every young adult, out there most likely have a cell phone. Even expenses like entertainment, hanging out with friends, hanging out, doing just different things. Clothing. Who doesn't like, going out and buying specific brands that we like? So setting, expenses include clothing, personal care items, or even if you're one who donates to charity, churches, or likes to give gifts. So keep in mind that the money in doesn't have to come strictly from your job. This would include any money that you get from an allowance, odd jobs, or gifts. When creating your budget, get your parents' input as well. Now that you are working, they may have certain expectations about which expenses you will now have to cover. Once you determine your income and your expenses, you'll need to make sure you're on track with your spending. So a lot of times when we get jobs, our parents may have certain expectations. So you want to make sure that you talk to your parents about that. Before they probably paid for your gas money. Now that you're working 20 hours a week, 15 to 20 hours a week, or whatever amount of hours you're getting from your first job, they may expect you to pay for your own food, to pay for your cell phone bill, to pay for your gas money, or, to pay for that concert you want to go to, or, whatever it is. There's certain expectations that they may have when it comes to those things. So what we need to do and make sure that we do is to track our expenses. Have you ever had a lot of cash one moment and then a few days later, or even a few hours later, it disappears and you're left to wonder, where did it go? where did that money just go? It just left more. It left faster than what it came. How it came. So tracking what you spend, your money on will help you decide if your spending is in line with your goals and your plan, like we spoke about before. Remember, if your income or expenses change, you will need to revise your budget. Some people like using, like a simple notebook to keep a diary of sorts to track their spending, but don't forget about technology. There are many free smartphone apps that make it easier to track your spending. If you go to your app store and search for, even if you just put in expense manager, you'll find dozens of options to choose from. Let's see an example of a student trying to follow a budget. And as you can see here, this student makes, $60 an hour, or not an hour, I'm sorry, $60 per month. Now, if that teenager made $60 an hour, oh my gosh, your parents are probably going to expect you to pay for every little thing. So this student makes $60 a month. It's enough to pay for his cell phone bill and have $20 left over for going out with his friends, as you can see here. So it's the middle of the month, and he's spent most of his entertainment money. He now has $44 left, but only $4 is left for entertainment. What if his friends asked him to join them at the movies, which will cost, we'll say for this example, $12. What would you do and why? So in the comments, as you're watching this video, I want you to comment below, what would you do and why? Hopefully, he'd realize that this would be a bad idea, since spending $12 now would leave him short when it comes time to pay for his cell phone bill, which we see here is $40. Every day, you'll encounter decisions and what you do with your money. We have all been there. Raise your hand if you have ever purchased something and regretted it later. Would anyone like to, if you would like to share a time when this has happened to you, make sure you put, just comment your experience. Spending impulsively can destroy a budget even when it looks good on paper. Think ahead of time how you will combat it. Maybe carry less cash with you when you go to the mall, or never buy an expensive item unless you sleep on it first. What are some other ideas for controlling the urge to splurge? Hey, there's no shame. There's no shame here. I'm not judging you. I've definitely been there, and I'm pretty sure, we've all been there at least once, twice, 3 times, But what are some ideas for controlling the urge to splurge? Next, we're going to talk about big decisions. Yes, we have some big decisions. So the daily decisions you make about where to spend your money may seem insignificant compared to a very large decision on your horizon. What to do after high school? That's a big decision. It's one of the biggest decisions that teenagers and young adults have to make. You can enter the workforce full-time, or you can go to a 2-year community college. Maybe you're thinking of attending a trade school or going to a 4-year college. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Just comment and if you're a teen, are you going into the workforce, directly, or if you're a parent, what is your what are your teens thinking about doing? They have different options. They can go straight into the workforce, go to a community college, a trade school, or four-year college. For those that may not be heading to school right now, it's still nice to know about your options in case you decide to attend at some point in the future. Planning for college is not a one-time event. It can be a long process, but the sooner you start to plan ahead, the better. There are many choices that impact college costs. That includes location, housing, and tuition. In-state schools can be much better affordable than out-of-state schools, if you ever notice. There can be a large difference between resident and non-resident tuition at some public colleges. Living off campus is usually less expensive than living on campus. If you attend a community college for 2 years, tuition can be cut significantly. While the college experience at a 4-year college is something to consider, so are the additional years of paying back those student loans. In transitioning, the next topic I want to cover is paying for college. If you haven't already, you will want to talk with your family about how you are going to pay for college. Do you have a college fund? If so, find out how much you have and what the rules are for using the money. For example, some plans require you to go to school in-state, while others allow you to use the money to pay for off-campus housing. Apply for scholarships. Apply for scholarships, as many scholarships as you can. So scholarships are funds awarded by a school, organization, church, etc. to help you pay for some or all of your school expenses. Scholarships are often awarded based on academic merit, but can also be for other things like community service. I've even had, I have a friend where she told me that she got a scholarship that she applied for just for being a person who wears glasses. Yes, like there's some odd scholarships out there, that you can apply for. This money, when it comes to scholarship, this money does not have to be paid back. Depending on the scholarship, you may have to attend, a certain school, where they may require you to go to a certain school in state, or, other schools, even if it's out of state, they may have certain requirements that you may need to meet. A question that I have for you is where might you look to find scholarships? That's a good question. That's a question that a lot of people may have. When it comes to looking for scholarships and finding scholarships, your high school guidance counselor is a great place to start when looking for scholarships. The schools you are applying for or applying to may offer scholarships specifically for their students, but the internet has a wealth of resources just to be sure that you don't use any websites that charge a fee. You may also want to check with any local groups you belong to, including your parents, employers, your congregation, or even your local credit union. I know here at Prime Trust we have a scholarship that that's offered every year that you may, at a certain time, that you may want to look into. Moving on to grants. Grants are similar to scholarships in that they don't have to be paid back, but are given based on financial need. Yes, they're based on financial need. They're usually awarded by your state or the federal government, and that's why looking into FAFSA is very important when it comes to grants and scholarships as well. And some schools also give out grants too. Part of your federal financial aid package might include work study. Here, you have a job set aside for you on campus. Work-study jobs tend to have more flexibility if you need time off to do, things like schoolwork, and which is very important. And then if you are not able to cover all of your college costs with the options we have considered previously, then you may have to take out student loans. And that's our last option here on the screen. Student loans are loans borrowed specifically for educational expenses. The loans must be paid back with interest. So loans can come from the federal government or even from private lenders. So if you're among the 70% or so students who opt to take out student loans, the loan choices can seem overwhelming. And, everyone has been there if you have to take out student loans. Let's spend some time just reviewing the features of the different loan programs. So like I mentioned before, to get any, type of grant or student loan, you would need to fill out the free application for federal student aid, which is we call this FAFSA. And once you fill out the FAFSA, you want to fill out your FAFSA as early as possible. And I know it's usually the ideal time is after October 1st of your senior year of high school. Some financial aid runs out, and later applicants who are eligible may be denied funds due to the lack of availability. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to those dates and those deadlines for FAFSA. And I know even with your FAFSA, they have, different tools within their program where you can send that information to the, where you put in the schools that you're looking at or planning on attending, and it'll send your FAFSA information, to that specific school, university, or community college. Subsidized loans. So subsidized loans are for students who meet a financial needs test. The government pays all interest costs on the amount borrowed while you are in school. The interest rate offered changes each academic year, but once you take out a loan, the rate does not change. Our third option, unsubsidized loans. So unsubsidized loans are for students who do not meet a financial needs test, or who need to supplement subsidized loans. Interest will accrue with these types of loans while you're in school. When you're in repayment, the interest rates on unsubsidized loans are the same as subsidized loans. Our next option, Parent Plus loans. Parent Plus loans are taken out by your parents or guardians. A creditworthy parent may borrow up to the total cost of college attendance minus any other financial aid you receive. The program is available to parents at all income levels regardless of need. And another option, private loans. Finally, there's private student loans. These are originated by a private lender and do not include the benefits and protections available with federal loans. So some things that may differ are the interest rates, the fees, the repayment terms, and benefits. And benefits are determined by the financial institution and may vary greatly. Because of this, you should exhaust all federal student loan options before applying for private loans. Next, we're going to navigate into your college years. When you're a teenager, when you're a young adult, this is like, if you plan on going to college, you get excited about it. You want just that experience. It feels like you're just another step into adulting, especially if you're, living off campus somewhere, getting your own place, or if you're, living in a dorm on campus. Now that your loan options are clear, Let's fast forward a little bit. Okay, so in this example, you picked your school, you found a way to pay for it, and now you are on campus. If your parents are helping you with some of your monthly expenses, find out how much they are going to contribute. If your parents are not able to help financially, you have some options. Did you work during the summer? Perhaps you can put money aside to help during the year. Will grant or scholarship awards help to pay for some expenses? Can you get a part-time job during school? If you do opt for a part-time job, make sure not to overdo it, especially if you're taking a full load of courses. Wherever your income comes from, you will continue to have many spending choices ahead of you. You will want to create a budget, just like you did while in high school, to determine how much you can spend and where your money is going. You may have some new expenses like food outside of your meal plan, books, and even school supplies. Like I said before, time to budget again. As you budget, having a checking account will make it easier to manage your bills and allow you to avoid having to carry too much cash. If you haven't opened a checking account yet, it may be time to consider it. Many credit unions have, free or low fee accounts specifically designed for students. It may be a good idea to have one or both of your parents on your account so that they can deposit money for you in the event of an emergency. Most credit unions or banks also have free online banking apps and mobile alerts to help you. Having a checking account is a big responsibility and a great way to help establish a relationship with a financial institution. And like I mentioned before, we have different checking accounts, different savings accounts here at Prime Trust that you should consider obtaining and signing up for and joining us. So, if you haven't already, or if you're a parent and you didn't know about our Start Right checking account that's catered towards teenagers and, just preparing them financially for different things, just check us out. Check out that information on our website or just comment below and we can make sure to get that information to you. Let's fast forward again. You're now ready to enter the workforce. This can be an exciting time for sure. Finding a full-time job and moving out on your own are things we dream about during our high school years. However, this can be a tricky time financially. You are earning a full-time wage, but you may have student loans and other new expenses. It can be tempting to move out on your own once you have started that full-time job. A few words of caution. Be sure to map out all of your expenses before signing a rental agreement. Some expenses to include rent, utilities, furniture, transportation, groceries, clothing, entertainment, student loans. It's important to think about all of your expenses now, as you will most likely not be able to rely on mom or dad anymore. Consider if getting a roommate or two to help offset some expenses is a good choice for you. You may also want to see if your parents might let you live at home for a little while so you can save up some money. Remember, living with your folks will not be forever, and it can really help start your post-college life off on the right foot financially. One of the largest expenses you may have is your student loans. Let's figure out how to best manage them. When you graduate or withdraw from school, you have a grace period before your loan goes into repayment. Subsidized and unsubsidized loans have a 6-month grace period. The Perkins loans have a 9-month grace period. Once the grace period ends, we encourage you to, choose the option that makes the most sense in your budget and long-term goals. Let's review some of your repayment options. The standard repayment plan will be in effect unless you request otherwise. This plan is usually set up to pay off debt over about a 10-year period. Graduated plans start with a small amount and the payment automatically goes up every 2 years. Before choosing this option, you'll want to consider whether or not your income is likely to increase substantially in the future. An extended repayment plan stretches out how long you'll take to pay down your loans, which means significantly more interest. We'll see an example of this shortly. There are also a number of income-driven plans, which we'll also discuss shortly. If you really want to see what your student loan payments may look like, check out a website which is www.studentloans.gov. That's www.studentloans.gov. You want to make sure that you write this down. There is a payment estimator. You can access it via the Management Repayment tab. You can either download your actual loan data or put in estimates of what you think you'll borrow in the future. This example shows the options available for a student who borrowed approximately $30,000. In this case, the standard 10-year payment results in a higher payment, which is $360 per month, as we see here, but the least amount of interest. Extended fixed stays low, but notice that they pay $18,000 more in interest than the 10-year plan. There are several options to lower your payments based on your income and housing size. First, there's income contingent repayment, or ICR. This is the only income-driven option for Parent Plus loans. Please note that the loans must be consolidated first to be eligible for ICR. And this information can be found on www.ibrinfo.org. To just, if you want to check out some more great resources, explaining these options further, you can also click on the orange calculator on the top right to take you directly to the Department of Education's payment estimator we mentioned earlier on this website. There's even an option to forgive your loans. If you work for a nonprofit organization or government agency, for details, you can go to studentloans.gov. With your student loans under control, hopefully you can leave some room for savings. Consider setting aside about 10% or more of your earnings into savings. Here are some different savings goals to consider. We have emergency savings, and you should strive to save about, 3 to 6 months of your living expenses in a separate account in the event that you lose your job or you have something that comes up that, where you can go into your emergency plan. Then that can include your car breaking down, having to pay out of pocket and you didn't expect something to come up. There's different things that you can do with this. And even having goals. So goals, and depending on your long and short-term goals, you may want to set up separate savings accounts to help you track your progress as you work toward achieving these goals, like a car, down payment on a home, new laptop, and then even retirement. Next, the last topic that we will go over today is establishing credit. It's just as important as developing a good savings habit. So a question that I want you to consider is, can anyone think of why credit is important? And even just answer that in the comments. So credit is a way of having something now and paying for it later. If you're a student who is under 21, some people consider applying for a credit card. You will be required to. Sometimes you'll be required to obtain a cosigner if you're younger than 21, just depending on who you go through. And even with the options that you have, using even if you do get into using credit cards, using a credit card responsibly is one tool to build credit. And there are other ways. So even if you open up a secured credit card after you make a deposit, you receive a card with a limit equal to that deposit. Secured loans. A secured loan is where you make a deposit that's used to make automatic payments to pay back that loan. And then you'll notice that if you go into retail stores or gas stations, they also offer credit cards as well. Piggybacking off of someone else's credit can work, but be cautious. You have two choices. Either get it, there's an option to get it to when it comes to that, and that includes getting a cosigner or joint account. Being added as an authorized user. So with this being said, being added as an authorized user on a credit card is generally much safer than co-signing or having a joint account in different areas. So basically you have the ability to use the credit card, but you're not liable for any charges. So what some people do, even when it comes to this, is maybe your parent or your guardian, they may consider adding you as an authorized user on their account to help you build your credit. So credit can be expensive if not used wisely. As the slide shows, if you make a large purchase on credit and only make the minimum payment each month, the actual cost of the item you purchase will be significantly higher than the original purchase. You can minimize the cost by making more than the minimum payment each month. Just think, after that $5,000 purchase is paid off in nearly 15 years, will make you even will you even remember what it was for? Chances are you might not even have that item any longer. When reviewing your application for credit, lenders usually use a credit scoring model, as you see here, which may include capacity, capital, and character. So capacity is income and other financial obligations. Capital is the assets and resources. And character is how you manage other debt obligations. And as you see here are 3 different credit bureaus that you may come across as you learn more about building your credit and things. And like I mentioned before, our partners at GreenPath Financial Wellness, they have some tools for you to help you budget, to help you save, to help you build your credit and things. So you definitely want to check them out. So through the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you are able to obtain 1 copy of a credit report from each bureau for free once per year. And this can be done at www.annualcreditreport.com. Checking your credit reports will also make it easier for you to catch fraud or even identity theft. A credit score is a 3-digit number that tries to quantify the likelihood of repayment. It is meant to reflect your credit risk. People often wonder, what is a good credit? What is a good credit score? Essentially, a good credit score is a number that matches the level of risk a lender is willing to accept for a particular loan or credit card. The lower the score, the higher the risk. So when you have a low score, you will pay more or to borrow money. And when you have a higher score, you will be offered a better interest rate, which will cost you less because the lender is not taking as much of a risk lending to you. Your credit score is based on the factors we see on this slide. So we have payment history, amounts owed, / the use of available credit, length of credit history, and types of credit used, / credit mix, and then new credit. Income, employment, where you live, race, age, gender, religion, national origin, and marital status are factors that are not included in determining your credit score. You may be anxious to boost your credit score by applying for a credit card. Before you do, let's review a few things. Without a stable income, a credit card can easily become a crutch. Oh no! It's less about the amount of income and more about the consistency. Even if you have a limited income, as long as it's dependable and you live within your means, you're likely to incur debt. You can always outspend any income if you're not careful. Credit cards make it a lot easier to afford an unrealistic lifestyle. So have a budget. Even with secure cards, it's important to have money in savings as a backup. So build up your savings. Let's review some tips for using a credit card wisely. So having money in savings as a backup will be something that you will make sure that you want to look into, because without savings will help you to pay off your credit card each month without getting into debt, where you start to get behind, or where you feel like you have to use your credit card because you don't have a savings. So have money in savings as a backup. Consider making only one charge per month, such as an automatic bill pay. Use less than 1/3 of your available credit. A lot of times what people get into is they'll say, oh, I have a credit card limit of $5,000. That means I have $5,000. And sometimes, if you're not using it responsibly, you'll look at that credit card as a stream of income. Pay entire balance to avoid finance charges. So oftentimes you'll see on your statement where it says the minimum balance, and then you'll see the entire balance. So pay the entire balance to avoid finance charges. And check, report, and score regularly. You want to make sure you check it for accuracy. If you follow these steps we discussed, you'll be on your way to building excellent credit and minimizing your debt and having a solid budget and substantial savings. This is such an exciting time in your life with a lot of decisions to make. While you are still young, it is important to look at each step as an opportunity to learn about personal finance and grow. These lessons learned now will help set you up for a long time of success. I really hope you enjoyed this presentation and you learn and you at least learn one tip that will help you as you journey and as you go forth in your on your path and even within your money choices. Finally, remember, you're welcome to schedule a free phone or, a free or assessment to meet with one of GreenPath's financial wellness experts to review your credit report and receive tips tailored to your own situation. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please share, like, and make sure you subscribe to our Facebook page if you haven't already. Share this presentation, tag someone. And if you need more information for GreenPath Financial Wellness, just comment below and we'll make sure to give you that information. But I hope that you guys have a great day, and that concludes our presentation on money concepts for teens and young adults. Thank you and have a great day.